Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tearing down the old, rusty pipes of global finance. We are moving away from a notoriously slow, heavily fragmented legacy system and stepping right into a programmable, instant network that is completely redefining how value moves across borders. Let's dive in and see exactly how this transformation is playing out right now.
So let's start with a massive global pain point. Have you ever actually stopped to think about why sending money overseas right now takes longer than physically flying there yourself? It's kind of crazy, right? In an era where information travels the globe in milliseconds, our financial infrastructure is still stuck playing a giant relay race of intermediaries. That makes cross-border payments expensive, highly opaque, and just unbelievably slow. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why that is, and more importantly, how it's finally being fixed.
Here's our roadmap for the Explainer today. First, the global payments problem. Second, tokenization, the new standard. Third, bridging TradFi and Web3. Fourth, real-world global impact. And finally, number 5, the multi-trillion-dollar future.
Section 1. The Global Payments Problem.
Okay, we have to look closely at traditional finance, or TradFi, because it fundamentally relies on archaic paper trails and legacy registries. We're still dealing with T+1 or T+2 settlement delays, which literally means it takes days just to clear a single transaction. And why? Well, mostly because the system suffers from excessive intermediary dependence. Your money gets bounced through multiple middlemen, and every single stop requires manual reconciliation. This fragmentation doesn't just cause huge delays, it creates massive counterparty risk. Basically, there's a much higher chance something goes wrong or someone defaults before the transaction actually settles.
The contrast between the old world and the new one is honestly like night and day. Traditional asset transfers, they take days to settle, hit you with high fees, and rely on completely opaque manual processes. Tokenized asset transfers, on the other hand, run on instant shared ledgers. They drastically lower costs, use programmable smart contracts, and offer complete transparency. We're basically upgrading from static, siloed instruments to programmable, always-on financial software.
Section 2. Tokenization as the new standard.
If you've been following this space, you've definitely heard complex jargon like atomic delivery versus payment or atomic DVP. But really, what it simply means is that both sides of a trade execute at the exact same millisecond. It's a simultaneous exchange. The asset only transfers when the payment is confirmed. They both settle simultaneously, or the whole thing is called off. This absolutely eliminates the settlement risk and intermediary exposure we were just talking about. Nobody is ever left holding the bag while waiting for a payment to clear.
In practice, this magic happens in 4 simple steps. Step 1, you digitize the asset into tokens on a shared ledger. Step 2, you code your rules directly into a smart contract. Think compliance rules, interest rates, whatever you need. Step 3 is where the system performs real-time verification using those exact rules. And boom, Step 4, instant atomic settlement. This sequence shows exactly how a tokenized transaction just completely bypasses traditional middlemen, relying entirely on programmable logic instead of manual back-office processing.
The true superpower here is that programmability. Automated smart contracts execute complex tasks, things like dividend payouts, interest payments, redemptions, instantly. No manual intervention needed whatsoever. By ripping out the manual back-office tasks that clog up the legacy system, your settlement time drops from a matter of days to literally the blink of an eye.
Section 3, bridging TradFi and Web3.
Now, institutional adoption relies heavily on hybrid interoperability because banks aren't just going to rip out their entire core systems overnight. On one side, you have TradFi systems like SWIFT, real-time gross settlement, and core banking APIs. On the other side, Web3 systems, bringing stablecoins and smart contracts. The critical bridge connecting them is global messaging standards, specifically ISO 20222. This compatibility means banks can communicate seamlessly across both blockchain and traditional platforms, automatically exchanging structured financial data.
And hey, this isn't just a bunch of crypto hype. Major global institutions see the writing on the wall. The International Monetary Fund literally stated in their 2025 FinTech note that tokenization is a transformational infrastructure shift for global finance. When organizations at the IMF's level identify tokenization as the absolute key to reducing cross-border inefficiencies, you know for sure a massive pivot is underway.
But making this convergence work relies entirely on strategic partnerships and deep trust. We're talking about blending strict institutional regulatory compliance, like your KYC, anti-money laundering, and counterterrorism financing rules, with the incredible programmability and speed of blockchain. This interoperable future really brings the best of both worlds together. The ironclad trust of traditional institutions, perfectly paired with the frictionless mobility of decentralized tech.
Section 4. Real-world global impact. When you code rules directly into the asset's logic, you unlock unparalleled efficiency. We've touched on minimizing risk and instant settlement, but really think about the impact of 24/7 transaction execution. It means no more waiting for banking hours to open, no more stressing over public holidays in totally different time zones. Capital can flow seamlessly around the clock. Plus, we get embedded compliance. Jurisdictional limits and transfer rules are literally baked right into the token itself, which makes global liquidity far more accessible and way more secure.
Naturally, all of this automation drives operational costs straight down. By cutting out the need for custodians, clearinghouses, and all those other costly middlemen, administrative fees just plummet. And because of the immutable nature of the blockchain, security is actually going up while these costs are dropping. It's one of those incredibly rare win-win scenarios for global markets.
To really put this speed into perspective with a real-world enterprise example, Ripple's payment settlement time currently takes mere seconds, specifically 3 to 5 seconds. Just think about that compared to the T+2 days model we were talking about earlier. It completely shatters the traditional framework for moving value.
And this is definitely not some niche experiment anymore. With platforms like Ripple already achieving 90% global foreign exchange market coverage, it is crystal clear that the transition to a tokenized economy is happening right now on a massive global scale. They're already providing the exact on- and off-ramps businesses need to bypass slow correspondent banking entirely.
Finally, Section 5. The multi-trillion-dollar future.
Heavy hitters in the financial sector, we're talking Standard Chartered, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, they're all forecasting absolutely massive growth over the next decade. These numbers prove this isn't a slow, casual evolution. It's one of the fastest infrastructure transformations in modern financial history. We are watching the shift from isolated digital assets to an entirely new foundational layer for global finance.
Let's actually break some of these numbers down because they're wild. The Boston Consulting Group projects the value of the tokenized real-world asset market will hit a staggering $16 trillion by the year 2030. To put that scale into perspective, that would make up approximately 10% of total global GDP.
But a joint 2025 report from Ripple and BCG takes this trajectory even further. They're predicting growth from roughly $0.6 trillion today to nearly $19 trillion by 2033. That represents a compound annual growth rate exceeding 53%. No wonder financial giants are literally racing to adopt these frameworks.
I really hope this explainer helps you map out the profound mechanics shifting global money movement right now. We are actively moving away from highly fragmented, multi-day delays into a new world of instant, 24/7 programmable liquidity. This multi-trillion-dollar transition is already well underway. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. As these borders dissolve and settlement times drop to practically zero, is your business actually prepared for the tokenized economy? Thank you so much for joining me, and stay curious.